Welcome to Confirmation Bias, presented by the League Ambassadors.
I'm Ambassador Kenny Ken. And a word of advice for John Lynch, GM of the San Francisco 49ers. Instead of asking draft hopefuls if they love the game of football, how about you ask yourself, how many red flags do you need to see before you say no? And that's my confirmation bias.
I'm Ambassador Junior Blue. And if you decide to join the Kardashian clan, you need to realize the cameras are always rolling. And that's my confirmation bias.
Ain't that the truth? I'm Ambassador Dad. And if you have a dream, never give up on it. Keep aspiring to do great things. At some point, it will pay off. And maybe you, too, can score 19 points in the NBA game and shoot like Michael Adams. And that's my confirmation bias.
And I'm Ambassador Chef Curry. I wonder if Patriots GM Robert Kraft will go visit Reuben Foster when he's in prison. And that's my confirmation bias.
Welcome to Confirmation Bias, hosted by the League Ambassadors. And on behalf of all of us, we'd like to apologize for Kevin's misstep. Robert Kraft, GM.
I'm sitting there like, something about that.
It doesn't sound right.
It doesn't sound right.
It doesn't sound right. But anyway.
He is indeed the owner.
He is the owner. But let's get into the show. We wanted to clean that up first before we moved any further. So, again, welcome. As a reminder, check us out across all social media platforms on our handle at The League AM. Please also visit our website, theleagueam.com, where you can see all of our content, as well as our other podcast, 32 Kings Road, and our blog spot, Diplomatic Immunity, where you, the fan, can drop your bars, your hot fire as it pertains to the world of sports. For those of you who are watching us on Facebook Live, please remember to drop your comments and questions so we can attempt to address them at the end of our show on our segment, Diplomatic Immunity. And please download Confirmation Bias and subscribe to the podcast wherever you watch or listen to podcasts, and subscribe to our YouTube channel under the League Ambassadors banner. You can watch all of our shows there and all of our clips. Today we have a great show, an action-packed show. A lot of talk about the association. There'll be some NBA playoff previewing, some thuggery, and some major truancy. And without any further ado, let's get the show started. Let's get into our hot topics. Junior Blue, what it do?
All right, hot topics. What do we have up first? We have NBA head coaching jobs. As soon as the buzzer, the Knicks said goodbye to Hornacek, and the Magic said goodbye to Frank Vogel. So that's two jobs that opened up immediately. You also have Jason Kidd, who got fired in Milwaukee earlier in the season. Natasha Sin's husband in Memphis was fired earlier.
Wow.
Google her, please.
And Earl Watson in Phoenix. So as of right now, there's 5 jobs open. My question to you, which one is the best job to have?
Great question.
Well, I would say, do you guys think that Milwaukee's going to retain the services of their interim coach? Or?
They absolutely are not.
Okay. Well, then there
Do
you
you
have
know
it.
his name?
No, I do not.
I know he was an Avatar.
So that's a no-brainer. They're the only playoff team, I believe, right? Of the coaches that were fired. So you have that.
I think the Magic are a sleeper team. They are a good coach away and a point guard away. They got Aaron Gordon, who is a restricted free agent. Obviously, they're going to re-sign him. But they've got Aaron Gordon, Jonathan Isaac, a promising rookie out of Florida State. They've got Jonathan Simmons, who played well for them, and then Evan Fournier. All they need is a great point guard and a good coaching staff, and they are a playoff team literally next season, and they got a top 5 pick.
Oh no, I was to say if I'm a coach, I'm rushing to take either one of those jobs because what's left over after that is an absolute dumpster fire. Dude, the New York Knicks, like no one wants to coach there.
Yeah,
no one. They have the worst owner in professional sports. I mean, I've heard Jay Wright's name has been thrown around from Villanova, but he knows he don't want that NBA smoke. No one wants to fill.
I know
that
somebody
position.
who really wants it, and they
really.
Yeah, and they have been sucking up ever since they got fired to every ref and every player in the league.
Oh, the fat man
Yeah,
Scoop?
Mark Jackson. He is
back
so
in New
hard to
York.
listen to.
Yeah.
I mean, he's from New York, St. John's. He played in New York.
He's gained about 30 pounds.
Yep.
So he's ready to sit.
He would take any job.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know where the Knicks are headed. I was looking at, in preparation for the show today. Yeah, because, you were hearing that, Phil left them in a good cap situation. And I'm looking and I'm saying, who's cap? Like, maybe in 2019.
Yeah.
But the thing is at that point, they got to be worried about losing Porzingis because they've got $22 million in player options. All those guys are going to opt in. Enes Kanter at $18 million. Kyle O'Quinn, I think, at like $4 million. Ron Baker, who Phil, for some reason, loved, at another $4 million. They can't trade Joakim Noah. They can't even give him away. You can't trade Courtney Lee. Like, this is a terrible situation. I don't know anybody who would want that job.
Mark Jackson.
That's the
Mark
Byron
wants
Scott
it.
hire.
Mark definitely, I would say he wants it, but if anybody would be a good X and O fit, I would say Fizdale, just because with Porzingis, Fizdale has the experience, the successful experience of coaching a stretch four. I mean, he did it with Chris Bosh. He tried with Mark Gasol until he didn't. So I think if anything, from an actual winning standpoint, I think he would be a good fit. I mean, the guy could coach. He just got a bad deal of money.
I agree he's a good coach. I don't think that's a good fit because of the situation he just came from where they let a player fire him to the worst owner in the league. I don't know if that's something that you jump right into.
Etor Messina. Remember that name. I gave you Vance Joseph first season of 32 Kings Road. Etor Messina, he's currently on the staff of the San Antonio Spurs. He is an offensive genius. We looked at him. He was on the Warriors staff. He's someone, and I mean, if he can get with the Magic, if he can get with the Suns, even the Bucks, I think if he got with the Milwaukee Bucks, I think that would be a great situation as well. So,
what do you think of the Phoenix Suns situation where you have Devin Booker, who's going to be a star and most likely the number one pick? Do you guys think that could be a good situation?
I think that would be a good look for Mark. I think in Mark Jackson's resume, because he has the past experience of coaching up young talent. I mean, let's remember, of course, he was coach of Golden State before they became the powerhouse in the West. They have young talent. It's not a sexy job, but if you're into doing charity work like Mark is, it's a start.
I don't think Devin Booker is going to be there. I think Devin Booker is counting down, is biding his time. And then you're stuck with Josh Jackson, who can't shoot. They got Elfrid Payton, who was no good in Orlando. He's not any good, in Phoenix. I don't think.
Just like football, in the NBA, you're locked up for basically 7 years.
Yeah.
On a squad.
What do you guys think about a name that I've been hearing a lot about? And I never saw this person as a coach, but apparently he's getting some smoke here. Jerry Stackhouse.
Apparently, I mean he's
G League coach.
Player, he's built up a good reputation as a great player development coach. Mm-hmm. He is actually the direct mentor of Brandon Ingram. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's also coaching right now Toronto's G League team. Yeah. He's won a G League championship as a head coach as well. He's got a lot of good reputation behind him. I mean, you don't really know until a guy steps into the role, but definitely he's done a lot of the grunt work. And I mean, if you're able to develop players, I think in the NBA, especially with the amount of young players that are coming in, which Ralph talked about a lot. If you have the ability to develop players, if players are developing under you, I think that's a nice feather in the cap in terms of you being a successful coach.
And what would stop Orlando this time around from hiring Mr. Armstrong? He almost got the job in 2016.
You talking about Daryl Armstrong?
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know. I think they're ready for something else. I mean, they've gone through 5 coaches since Stan Van Gundy in 2011. So basically, coaches are staying there for 1 year. I feel like that's not a job. In to draw a parallel,
your first job though. I mean, I think that's a good first job.
But I don't think the organization is at a point where they need to bring in somebody for the first job. I think you need to bring in a really, really good coach. Like they were close with Vogel because Vogel had some experience, but you need someone that's got some clout, that's been a proven winner in the league, because they're not that, especially in Eastern Conference, they're not that far away.
We're talking about Larry Brown, and he's 100. So.
All right, let's switch it up to baseball. The Miami Marlins, during the offseason, we know they were sold. Derek Jeter's group purchased the team. He's now the CEO of the company.
He's getting an education today.
They traded off all their talent, basically. Made themselves into a minor league team. Well, yesterday, playing the New York Mets, you know how hard this is to play a New York team, and only drew in 6,150 fans in the whole stadium playing a New York team.
Crickets.
The Double-A team in Jacksonville brought in 7,000 fans. So they literally were about 850 fans off, less than what the Double-A team. What is Derek Jeter doing? What is his end game? Selling off all the talent and not bringing anybody in the stands?
I don't know.
It sounds like he's trying to trust a process that we don't know exists, at least in baseball. I mean, you sell off the one commodity in Miami that people want to see. What else would you expect? I mean, like you guys know from experience in LA, there's 400 other things to do in a city like Miami. So if you have a team that's just trash, nobody's going to pass up going to the beach or doing anything else down there in that city to go see a team that can't win a game.
But to piggyback off of that, Kev, to put this in full perspective, the lowest attended Dodger game in Dodger history was in 2011, and it was 27,000 people. Yes.
I don't know. I mean, I think you got to get the money right. I assume that that's what's happening, is they're going bare bones strategy. This is not different than what the Padres have done. Replenish the farm system. I guess I understand the strategy. I agree with you, Kevin. I think there's some markets where you can't afford to do that, Miami being one of them. You also can't afford to lose 20-1 in a baseball game, Major League Baseball game, which is what happened this Saturday against Philadelphia, and expect people to come out and to pay for a product. And oh, by the way, they had made the decision at the end of last season. I think they are one of the only teams to, in terms of their attendance, they are actually counting the amount of tickets sold versus, I'm sorry.
People in.
Actually, the amount of people that sit in seats versus the amount of tickets that are sold. Yeah. So I don't get it. I guess it's money is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of experienced the same thing here in Baltimore early in the week. It was the lowest attended Orioles game in Camden Yards since '92, but it was also 35 degrees outside and raining. So they don't have the misfortune of bad weather, or cold weather rather, like we do up here. But yeah, they're trash, man. Like that.
All right, let's get into our Brexit boot bag winner. Reuben Foster. I remember sitting in the studio lobby last year, hoping and wishing the Raiders would pick Reuben Foster to fill that huge hole at the middle linebacker position that we currently still have. But thank God we dodged that bullet. You know, the NFL has taken a hard stance on domestic violence, as they should. And there's a report that Reuben Foster punched his in-house girlfriend 8 to 10 times, rupturing her eardrum, tossing her out the house.
By her hair.
Do you think he gets suspended for the season?
I think
or does it have to be on video?
No, I think that first of all, I think
Reuben
he's
going to jail.
I was gonna say, hey, let's start there.
Yeah,
He
3
going to
felonies.
jail.
Those are 3
Yeah,
felonies.
he's getting 3 felonies. I think his NFL career is over. There were several teams that took him off of their draft board.
Red flags out of Alabama.
Red flags out of Alabama. If you know anything about his father, you can Google that story. His father shot him and his mother, and was on the lam for like 13 years. Then when he finally got arrested and put in jail, he escaped from jail and was communicating to Reuben while Reuben was in college via Twitter. Got found eventually by the cops, and now he's doing 40 years in prison.
Damn, didn't the same thing happen to Mark Ingram too? What's going on in Alabama?
So what I'm saying is the apple doesn't fall far from the tree,
Right.
and that's it's sometimes can be an unfair statement, but most of the time it isn't. And again, I said in my confirmation bias, John Lynch was paying attention to the wrong things, so I think he's done. All right, NBA playoffs are here. Let's talk about that. Let's just jump right into it and start with the MVP discussion. And I'll start with you, Kevin. Is it Harden or is it LeBron?
Well, we have to first define what the MVP means. And in the NBA, it's the best player on the best team for that given year. So based on that definition, it is James Harden. There's no doubt LeBron is having a historical year. He deserves every accolade that comes his way. But what James Harden is able to do this year after having to go up against Westbrook the previous year, Steph the year before that, his time has come. He deserves it this year. But we all know with James, it depends on what he does in the postseason.
Is there anyone that disagrees with Kevin?
I totally agree.
I agree.
I disagree. I do think it's LeBron James.
Is you with it or not?
I mean, I feel like with James, he came out the gate really strong, and the narrative was, James Harden is the MVP. He's got it. He came close last year, and they just went away with it. And LeBron, from February 1st, he was consistently doing what LeBron does all the way up until, but from after they made the trade, when they got more cohesive as a team, but they lost talent. He got better. And he finished the season with the exact same record that they had last year when he had Kyrie. He didn't have Kevin Love for 22 games. And as you said, in his 15th season, is putting up some of the best numbers he's ever put up.
He's the best player in the league,
by far.
But like Kevin said, it's the best player on the best team that year. And he's had close calls the 2 previous years with Russell's triple-double and then Curry. So it's one of those Oscar things, Denzel really should have got it for this, but let's give it to him for training day. So he's going to get it this year.
So, but I guess what I'm asking you is not what's going to happen, because I guess we could be surprised, but do you believe he's the MVP, Devin?
No, not by my definition. The definition that I hold the MVP to be is the best player in the league. And I felt like...
For that year.
Right, that year. And I felt like Jordan could have got it every year. I felt like Shaq got robbed and should have had it multiple years. He only got it once. I felt like Kobe got robbed multiple times. He should have had it. And it goes to a Steve Nash, who was on the best team with the best record.
Exactly, best player on the best team.
Yeah.
Les, did you feel like LeBron was the leading MVP throughout the year? Or do you feel like there was a point where he passed James Harden?
I don't feel like he ever passed him, really.
So you feel like James Harden has been
James
we're not talking about what the standards
Right.
what.
But that's the thing, though, because if you're talking about who's the best player and who played better, then LeBron is the best player and played better because no one basically has ever played like him before. So if that was your
You're talking about just this year?
This year.
Okay.
And if that was your definition, then he should be the MVP. But like Devin said, there is a history of the best player on the winningest team wins the MVP. So
we're gonna go rapid.
Should we consider renaming the award then?
Right?
yes, we should.
Yeah.
We're gonna rapid fire with this one. First round, Devin, give me one potential upset in round 1.
Wizards upset the Raptors. purely based off of talent.
Les?
Pelicans over Blazers.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I don't think anybody can handle AD there. And Rondo showed last year that come playoff time, he could be a problem.
Kev?
That's a good point, Les. I agree with Devin. I think the Wizards could do it simply because we know what Toronto does this time of year, time and time again. And until they prove to us that they can't, I'm picking against them. No matter who they play.
That's great. I could choose the obvious one. Milwaukee over Boston. I think that's the obvious one. It's a 7 seed over 2 seed. I agree. Les, that's an interesting one because I kind of like Portland as a dark horse. But I agree with you. The Wizards, Raptors, but Milwaukee, I think, typically,
They've been playing like shit though. I feel you.
They have.
I feel you.
They
have.
have. But to continue you guys' theme of what tradition says in terms of the MVP, best player on the best team, tradition also says that in an NBA playoff series, the team with the best player wins, and that's Giannis Antetokounmpo by a mile. All right, Devin, which player will be under the most individual pressure in these playoffs?
So for this, there were so many to choose from, and it's always going to be LeBron chasing ghosts, Harden and Paul fighting their history. But for me this year, it's none other than Willie Bobo, Russell Westbrook, and this is why. If this goes poorly, for them in this playoff run, PG-13 is gone.
He's gone anyway.
And I know you guys are very happy about that.
He's gone anyway.
This will be the third star
I'm on the welcoming committee, by the way.
to jettison from OKC from him.
You're counting James Harden?
Yeah.
Okay.
This will show that his stats are even more empty than we think they are already. But will this, if this does happen, and if he succumbs to pressure, will this make him see the changes that he needs to make to be better?
Oh, he's all in. No.
So for me, it's Westbrook because he has a lot to prove.
That is interesting. Junior Blue, why will this year's playoff be better than last year's?
Last year's playoffs, we went into them thinking Golden State wins the championship. There's nobody else that's going to even come close to them. This year, maybe Houston. With what's the name, Steph being hurt, we're thinking, hey, maybe Utah can knock them out, or another team, maybe they can do it. So that's one thing we have. And then you look at the seedings. 4 through 8 came down to the last 2 nights of the season. That's parity. Last year we didn't have that. And I feel like that will make much closer games. We were already picking a 8 to beat a 1. I'm picking a 6 to beat a 3.
A 7 will beat a 2.
A 7 to beat a 2. And we didn't have that last year. Last year, we knew what was going to happen, and it played out just like that.
Well, Rondo got hurt otherwise.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah, but
it still played out the way we thought it would.
Yeah. Kevin, this is the first time in his illustrious career that Mr. LeBron James has played all 82 games. Will it come back to haunt him in these playoffs?
That's an interesting stat, by the way, too. You look at LeBron's consistency and longevity. But I think because we all know he's a physical specimen, I mean, he's notably dedicated and invested so much into his body. So I can't necessarily say he's not prepared for it. But because how this Cleveland team and many Cleveland teams in the past have built themselves around his style of play, it's like he's going to have to be Chadwick Boseman. Like, he's got to be Black Panther. He's got to be Thurgood Marshall. He's got to play every role. He's got to play every role.
Jackie Robinson.
Jackie Robinson, right. He's got to do everything for this to work. And I feel like if they get caught in maybe, say, the first 2 rounds become long series, 6 or 7 game series, this can come back to bite him in the Eastern Conference Finals if they make it there, or the NBA Finals. So I think they got to make the first or second rounds got to be a sweep for him to actually stay rested and healthy enough to do what he does best.
Okay, we'll save a discussion in terms of how we think the playoffs are going to turn out. We'll wait till after the first round, get our bearings. But here's a final fun question before we get out of here. If blank team has a good playoff run, it will be because of unlikely hero X. And we're going to go through all 16 teams really quickly. Devin, you have the first 4 seeded teams in the Western Conference. So those 4 teams make a good playoff run. Give me an unlikely hero.
For Houston, it's going to be, they're going to have to, like you said the other day, dust off Nene.
Really?
Yeah, Clint Capella is 23 years old.
Okay.
A lot of expectations on that number 1 seed. He could potentially see Cat, Taj Gibson, and then later on Steven Adams, Gobert, Favors, Jaja, Draymond, Bell, West, Looney, JaVale, all those guys. If he's in foul trouble, Nene can provide that experience.
Good call.
For Golden State, I think this would be Quinn Cook.
Yeah.
Quinn Cook,
Yeah.
as much as it pains me, he's a former Duke Blue Devil, but Steph is hurt. This team has depth, and the usual suspects will come to play, like Livingston and Iggy. But he started 18 games down the stretch. He averaged 9.5 points a game, 3 assists. He shoots 44% from 3. That's big. And they valued him so much. He was a two-way player.
Yep.
They cut Caspi to make room for him.
I agree with that.
For Portland, Shabazz Napier.
Really?
Yes. Lillard and McCollum averaged 48 points a game in that starting backcourt.
Okay.
That's 45% of their offense. He's the 5th leading scorer on that team.
Okay.
Evan Turner is a fucking mop. He's just a winner.
You always know when Devin come off the notes.
No, that's in there. Evan Turner is a mop. And he's just a winner. He won the national championship with UConn. So I feel like if they make a run, he has to play well because they rely so much on their backcourt. And if one of them gets in foul trouble, isn't playing well, he needs to step in.
Okay.
For the Thunder, and we talked a lot about him when we had the fight this past weekend. Mr. Grant.
Jeremy Grant.
Yeah. Freakish athlete.
Untapped potential, man.
Yeah, he's a couple years away. His hustle plays and points will be much needed because we know, as I mentioned earlier, Willie will destroy the game flow. And because that, the other stars on the team will try to play catch up. So you got PG and Melo trying to pick up the slack. This guy will fill in the holes.
His length also will be good to go against Utah as well in that series. Okay. Kev, you've got the bottom Western Conference.
I do. So we're going to start with Utah. And I pointed to the second guy on the roster that everyone knows, Mr. Rudy Gobert. He has to become Akeem Olajuwon for this to work. We see what Mitchell's being asked to do. He's got to have some type of post presence, a second option that he can go to, whether he kills it on the boards, putbacks, pick and rolls. He's got to do something more than what they've been asking him to do for Utah to have a chance. So after that, we got the Pelicans, and we mentioned it earlier and on a previous show. If Rajon Rondo can play like he played last year and stay healthy, watch out for New Orleans, man. That Rondo is just built for playoff basketball. He's been there before, championship caliber. I'm excited to see him play. He's one of my favorite players. For the Spurs, it's simple. Is Kawhi Leonard coming out that locker room? If not, then, hey, we'll see y'all next fall. That's the only chance they got. I do look to Rudy Gay, who is a veteran in this league. Took him a while to get to this point to where he's playing relevant basketball, but when they call his number, he delivers. I don't think he'll be able to fill the void of Kawhi Leonard, but if he can give them something and kind of extend that first round series, they may have a shot. And last but not least, the Timberwolves, who I'm going to invoke Uncle Ralph from a couple weeks ago. Can Karl Anthony Towns live up to his draft pick? I think he's the key. He's that young gun, that post presence that this team will need to take the pressure off guys like Jimmy Butler and I think and Derrick Rose, guys who Thibodeau is running to the ground.
I'm glad you didn't mention Wiggins because he's garbage.
Yeah, but you got a post presence. You got a guy you draft this number one pick. He's got to prove it.
So the question was unlikely, and we got Rudy Gobert, all-star. We've got Rajon Rondo, starter. We've got Kawhi Leonard and Rudy Gay, and we've got Karl Anthony Towns. Kevin,
We do.
you are the man.
Hey, unlikely.
Wow, I see what you did there.
They're all unlikely.
They're all unlikely.
I See what you did there.
Kevin, get out of here. Les, you've got the Eastern Conference, the top four.
Watch this. Fred VanVleet for the Toronto Raptors.
I
agree.
I agree.
And the reason I say that is because we all know Lowry might need to decompress. He had his worst season in 5 years. I call it getting paid and getting fat.
Yeah.
And they're going to need VanVleet to show up to fill that void.
You're kind of keeping the Kevin likelies, unlikelies going, though, because he's been a key player for them all year.
And then I have Jaylen Brown.
For Boston?
For Boston.
Okay.
And the reason why is because he's enjoying Kyrie being out and him being able to score.
Chuck him.
So in Philly, we have Mr. Rotator Cuff, shot off Fultz. He came back and showed up the last 15 games. And he showed that, guess what? You put the ball in my hands, too. We have another playmaker now.
Yeah.
Ben Simmons doesn't always have to have the ball.
Yeah.
And that's been without Embiid. So
I like
he's
that
unlikely.
call. Yeah.
And then we have Jordan Clarkson for the Cleveland Cavs.
Shout out to JC.
As a Laker fan, we know Jordan can go on runs, and then he can be off that run. So if he goes on one of those runs where he scores, he can put up 15, 20 a game, help LeBron out and be another scoring option. Hey, that can help carry them through some rounds.
All right. I've got the bottom four, Eastern Conference. Indiana Pacers. I think they can go as far as the conference finals if Lance Stevenson, he gives them intangibles, right? Also, he will give Indianapolis a decided bench advantage against every team, I think, in the East, with the exception of Toronto with him and Corey Joseph. I think he's key. The Miami Heat, old man Wade.
Unlikely.
Listen, they've got Philadelphia in the first round, inexperience. I'm calling Milwaukee to upset Boston, so they have an inexperienced Milwaukee in the second round. Veteran experience, big game player, Dwayne Wade. Milwaukee, Mr. John Henson. They've got to have interior post presence play on the defensive end. In 2015, John Henson was a big-time baller. He's got to step up for them. I think Milwaukee can make a run to the conference finals. And then finally, for Kevin's Washington Wizards, Tomas Satoransky. I think, is key. Scott Brooks has a reputation as being very predictable offensively. I think if Satoransky can help spell John Wall, who's not all the way back physically, and also with his improvising skills.
Okay.
If he can improvise on offense, keeps them from being predictable, and I think that Washington could actually make it to the finals if he plays well.
All right.
That's what's up. I just want our loyal public to know that the question was not unknown, but it was unlikely. So we're going to move on to our last segment. Kenyon, you better focus. You got a battle here.
All right.
Kenny Ken is going up against Junior Blue, our two winners from the two debates we've had so far this season. So our debate topic tonight is a very important one, I think, and one that the league should at least research in terms of the qualifications, like we mentioned earlier. But who should win the NBA Rookie of the Year? Is it Mr. Ben Simmons or, oh my God, I'm forgetting his name, the kid from Utah?
Oh, damn, that's telling.
Donovan Mitchell.
Donovan Mitchell.
We know where your bias lies. We gonna ask Devin.
But that's my point. We're forgetting about somebody who should be involved in this conversation. So, are we flipping coins tonight? Or what's the move?
Flip a coin.
All right. Kenyon, call it in the air. Heads or tails?
I call it heads all the time.
Tails never fails. Junior Blue. Who's going first? Well, which topic are you taking?
I'll take Donovan Mitchell.
Junior Blue has Donovan Mitchell. Kenyon, you going first?
No, I'm going last.
All right, Les, it's on you.
All right, Donovan Mitchell, the true Rookie of the Year. Ben Simmons, although he didn't play a game last year, he was healthy midway through the season, practiced, traveled, and got coached up all season from NBA coaches. While Donovan Mitchell was trying to dodge the pitfalls of being a Louisville player last year. Donovan Mitchell ended up being drafted 13th by Denver, and then being traded to Utah. Summer League came around, and quickly Utah realized they had a steal. He averaged 20 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists as a rookie. The Jazz are the 5th seed in the tough Western Conference. Before the season, they weren't even picked to make the playoffs after losing Gordon Hayward. The presumed best player on the roster, Rudy Gobert, missed 26 games this season, and Donovan Mitchell carried the team. Mitchell made such an impact that it made Rodney Hood expendable, and they could just send him on off to Cleveland. He carried the team to the playoffs as the only offensive weapon on the team. And to me, that's the true sense of a rookie of the year. He took the team and he said, guess what? We don't have any scores. I'm going to score. They had Ricky Rubio on the squad. And you know what? They still handed the ball over to Donovan Mitchell, and he carried the squad offensively with the ball in his hands, with no other offensive weapons. And for that reason, Donovan Mitchell should be Rookie of the Year.
Kenny Ken. Make the case for Ben Simmons.
Run that track back. Ben Simmons should be Rookie of the Year because of one word, and that word is precedent. There is precedent for the type of offensive production that Ben Simmons has yielded this year. Guys like LeBron, Wilt, Oscar, Westbrook, Harden, and Magic. But what is unprecedented is the fact that Simmons is producing like these gentlemen as a rookie, with averages of 16 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. There is precedent for the sort of defensive versatility that Ben Simmons has exhibited this season. Guys like LeBron, Draymond Green, Dennis Rodman, Scottie Pippen are examples of such versatility. But what is unprecedented is the fact that Ben Simmons at 6'10" as a rookie this season has evenly split his defensive assignments, 21% going against point guards, 20% shooting guards, 29% small forwards, 22% power forwards. There is precedent, most importantly, for a second-year rookie winning Rookie of the Year, Blake Griffin, in 2011. What is unprecedented is that Ben Simmons isn't a Class A pussy. There is also precedent for greatness in sports to be taken for granted. As Devin said earlier, Shaquille O'Neal could have been the MVP every single year. Jerry Rice is widely looked at as the greatest NFL player of all time, but only won an MVP award twice. Derek Jeter, one of the greatest shortstops, one of the greatest Yankees ever, never won an MVP. Ben Simmons, along with Joel Embiid, has taken the Philadelphia 76ers from 26 wins to 51 wins. He hit the same rookie wall that all rookies hit in December, and then came back from January on to get 8 of his 12 triple-doubles, which is second all-time for rookies. Ben Simmons is without question the Rookie of the Year.
Oh, man, there's so much that goes into this debate, whether one is a true rookie, one isn't, who has to do more, who had more or less expectations. So my initial thought going into this was that Ben Simmons should win it. But then again, at the same time, you look at he has almost an MVP caliber teammate on his team. Again, as Uncle Ralph asked a couple weeks ago, name someone on the Utah Jazz.
Rudy Gobert.
And
Ricky Rubio.
Name someone on the Utah Jazz.
Rudy Gobert is the Defensive Player of the Year.
And he missed 26 games.
He did.
Joel Embiid missed 1,000 games
last year.
Yeah.
In saying all of that, I think the award will go to Ben Simmons. So, Kenyon, I will have to give you this nod by default. But Les, I think a lot of the points you made go, unnoticed in terms of making a case for Mitchell because, he also plays in Utah. Most of the time when their games, if they are on national television, most of us are asleep by the time they actually air. So most people don't really appreciate what he's doing over there.
He also doesn't have the complexion for the protection.
Huh. Wow. Hey, Kev, do we have anything in diplomatic community?
We have a couple comments. Slug always holds it down. So it was confirmed today that Steph is not playing in the first round.
We knew that already.
Yeah.
I thought.
Yeah.
knew that.
Steph isn't playing in the first round. He asked, will any of us create NFL mock drafts for 2018? We're all our bets are in on Cleveland, I guess, to not screw this up. But outside of that, what's up, Scott? What's up, LaDonna?
They gave Landry a
People
lot of
came
money. They're
Yeah.
just gonna be throwing money away, I guess.
Yeah. Other
through.
than
We
that,
got.
that's it.
That's it.
All right, well, that's a good place to land. So that's our show for today. Thank you for joining us on Confirmation Bias. Check us out again on our social media handle at The League AM and our website, theleagueam.com. Check out Diplomatic Immunity and talk your shit. Please share on social media. Again, liking is cool, but sharing is caring, and let us know if your bias has been confirmed. See you guys next week.